What's up YouTube, Card Boss here, back with another video where we talk about cards, money, investing. Today we're going to talk about 2020 X-Men Metal, in particular the Platinum Portraits set. I've been asked numerous times about my thoughts on this set, on whether it's good for investment, and what's the long-term prospect for this this particular set, and is it a good time to dive into this. So I'm just going to touch a bit about this set, what's it all about the lineups, and about a bit on pricing and where I think this set is going. Okay, so just a bit of background. This set is a 25 card set. It's the pool odds is about 1 in 600 packs, which is about I believe it will be considered a case hit. Okay, so initially when the set was first released in around May or April to May 2021, okay, the pull rate of this Platinum Portraits was actually very low, and that could be seen when the amount of eBay listings that came up shortly after the release. I believe that I did a couple of videos whereby I did a sales watch of all the X-Men Metal cards for the first 3 weeks since the release, and I think there was just a handful of Platinum Portraits that were actually sold or listed on eBay in the first couple of weeks, and that shows that how difficult is it to pull these Platinum Portraits. But of course, subsequently when ePack released X-Men Metal, we start to see a lot more of these Platinum Portraits coming up, and then subsequently redeemed and then going back into the market. And that's where you see a lot more copies today selling on eBay, Facebook, and also Instagram. All right, so a bit more about the set. So like I said, 25 card lineup. Most of the main X-Men characters are there, highlighted by Wolverine, Deadpool, and then it drops off to characters like Gambit, Scarlet Witch, maybe Cyclops, and Magneto, to name a few. The noticeable missing character from this particular lineup is Psylocke. So Psylocke's obviously one of the more popular female characters of the X-Men series, and she's not in this 25 card list, which I believe would have kind of lifted this whole set a bit better in terms of value. But nevertheless, you still have Wolverine here, which I think is transacting roughly around $3,000 on average, and I think Deadpool is about $2,000. But aside from that, like I said, it drops off to Gambit and Scarlet Witch, which I believe is about $500, and the others are averaging between $100 to $200 or $250, about there. A complete set of this Platinum Portrait sold for $14,000 at the end of December last year. I did do a breakdown of that particular set to see whether or not it was worth the $14,000. Of course, if you just take away the Wolverine and Deadpool, $5,000, so you're left with about 23 cards sitting on the remaining $9,000, and that's an average about like $200 plus per card. So I would maybe $300, yeah. So a bit on the higher side based on the average, okay, but I can understand why the premium's been paid, because as I mentioned, these Platinum Portraits are case hits. So it's not easy to pull one out of the case, and it's not easy to get 25 copies altogether. But given that there is such a huge drop off from Wolverine and Deadpool, it concerns me whether or not is it worthwhile to try and pull a set together, or just targeting Wolverine and Deadpool for investment. And we're going to touch a bit about that a bit later. So a bit more on the cards itself. So Platinum Portraits is I would say it's something from the 97 basketball Metal series. They have their own Platinum Portraits as well. So similar design, has a bit of this edge kind of feel. I haven't had the opportunity to actually hold one in my hand, but from what I can tell, it's nice to the touch, and it is a unique edge also comes with its negatives, which is it can be easily damaged and affects grading if you were to go in that direction, which I saw some examples that getting a PSA 10 is, I wouldn't say relatively easy, but it's also easy to drop to a 9, given that the edges are so easily damaged, potentially right out of the pack. Okay, but like I mentioned before, there isn't much attention focused on graded Marvel cards, especially on the newer stuff that we see today. So chances are collectors for platinum portraits aren't gravitating towards the graded card sets or willing to pay a premium for the graded versions, whether it's a PSA 9 or PSA 10, unless they're character chasing. So if, let's say, for example, you're a fan of Gambit and you just wanted the Platinum Portraits Gambit for your collection, and there was a PSA 9 or a PSA 10, it's something that's right up your alley and the price is right, and you would normally add that to your collection. But most people who are actually chasing this Platinum Portraits would likely go for raw, because most likely they are set chasing. So bear in mind, when you're trying to invest in this particular set, you got to consider who are you targeting. Are you targeting specific character collectors like Gambit, Wolverine, and Deadpool, or are you trying to piece together or put together a portfolio whereby you to resell for guys who are piecing the sets together? And I think that there are a number of people who are piecing the sets together. It's a relatively small set, 25 cards, right? And given that there are only 2 card sets cost more than $1,000, so it's not that difficult to get the set, if once you have that Wolverine and Deadpool secured. All right, so now what do I think about future potential of this particular set? Like I said, I think a lot of people now, they like Platinum Portraits, they like the look. The scarcity is nice. Unfortunately, it's not zero number, but we can actually find a way to try and engineer what's the print run. But given that the X-Men metal set is so huge, and I think printed is way much more than previous years, so it's hard to say, are we looking at 100 copies or 150 or 300 copies? So we wouldn't know. Okay, but then again, these are case hits, so there would be some premium for completing the set, which the example that we saw sold in eBay on end of December for $14,000. Now, will the next set sell for 14? I highly doubt so, considering that people had extra additional time to put these sets together. And like I said, ePac's basically churning out a lot of Platinum Portraits, more so than before when the paper cards were first released. So would I invest in Platinum Portraits? I did consider, and what angle would I take? So I think that, like I said, there are a number of people who are putting the sets together, right? So there would be a good argument to try to buy as many copies that you find as cheap as possible, and maybe to flip it for maybe a 20% or 30% return. Unfortunately, ePac still flushing out a lot of these Platinum Portraits, and you're kind of like competing with a lot of people, to especially selling the low end stuff like a Domino or a Legion, or a Juggernaut per se, right? So there is a lot of competition to sell those pieces, and even if you invest in cheaply, sometimes the effort and the time put into try to resell these pieces may not justify buying them in the first place. So for this Platinum Portraits, I would be focused on just the key characters in this set, okay? And if Wolverine or Deadpool is kind of out of your range, then I will go one level lower and look at Scarlet Witch, Gambit, and maybe X-23. I think there is some following for X-23, but beyond that, even I consider like Magneto as a top level character, but fan following, it's still not up there compared to the rest. So I would stay clear of the others, even if you had the opportunity to buy them cheap. But if you had the means, or you had the market to flip these cards, like if you're going for a show, or if you knew some friends who wanted to complete a set that you could flip this easily, then only I would go for the other smaller pieces. But if I were to buy individual pieces and to hold it to consider for grading, I'll definitely stick to the bigger ones. All right, cool. I hope that answers your questions on Platinum Portraits. I like the potential, okay, but I just think that there's just too many around, and the top end of this particular set is just limited to the top 2 characters. So personally, I won't be going into Platinum Portraits. I think that there are other sets which are better, but I can understand the draw to this particular set because it looks great. It looks great, honestly. All right, till next video, guys. Thanks for watching. Do like, subscribe, and all of that. Cheers. Cowboys out.